Hello guys, welcome to a new video. In this one, we're going to be creating some really colorful, abstract paintings that are miniature inside these grid shapes. And so to create the grid, I just used some thinner washi tape that stuck pretty good to the paper so that none of the paint could get underneath. And then I sprayed the grids with some Dilutions sprays. And then now you can see that I have a wet paintbrush and I'm just mixing all the colors together on the white space in between the sprays of color. And it doesn't look too pretty right now, but that's actually really useful when we do the next step, which is going over some of the paintings with gesso, white gesso. And that really mixes with the water-soluble spray inks that I used and creates some softer colors and softer areas in the little paintings. And I really am enjoying this technique. I recently sort of figured out about it when I was working on one of my colorful abstract-y paintings, and I figured out adding gesso really calmed down the brightness of the colors that I was using, like in a good way, so that there were spots for your eyes to rest when you were looking at a really intense painting. And so I definitely recommend you give it a try. I think it would work with acrylic paints too. If the paints underneath your gesso layer were still a bit wet, then you could mix gesso on top and kind of blend it out into softer colors. But yeah, so another technique that I noticed was really helpful while doing this was when I was putting the gesso on with the brush, I would brush kind of like in downward strokes, but then the top bit where the gesso wasn't blending into the painting as well as the bottom strokes were. So then I did some upward strokes to kind of fade and blend in the top part of where the gesso marks were, and it helped blend them in a lot better. So I hope that made sense. It's kind of hard to explain unless you can see me do it, but yeah, so definitely give it a try in your own work and totally try out this project for yourself. I've seen a lot of other artists do them, which was actually what inspired me to do it, and they're so much fun. So let's see what the next step is. So I dried it, and then I brought out some of my Caran d'Ache Neo Color 2s, which are water soluble. There I have a Stabilo Woody, which is also water soluble. It's a bit of a chunkier pencil though, and has bigger marks than the Neo Color 2s. And so I just laid down some mark making and scribbles. And I wasn't thinking too much about composition when I did it. And now I'm putting in some circles, and here I'm thinking a lot more about composition. And I kind of wish that the circles were actually a thicker stroke to them. And I think they would stand out better. And now I'm using a Pentel sign pen, and I really love doing the small marks on the page. It's just so meditative and fun. And I had to think a lot about composition when I did these, about where I would place them on the page, because it does matter, because it's kind of a complicated looking mark that I'm making. And if I placed it in the, I don't want to say wrong spot, but in not as not as effective spot, it would probably look a little too messy or chaotic to the eye. Not saying that these didn't turn out chaotic to the eye, because they kind of did, but I still love them. So yeah, I just put in those marks, and I decided later that I wanted to cover up some of those marks too. So I think I went back in with paint. Yeah, so here I am using my fluorescent yellow Liquitex paint, and it's the soft body paint. And I always love adding fluorescent paints to my work because it just kicks it up that extra notch and gives you a pow of color that is, I think, incredible. Like, it really brings the painting to life and kind of helps add a focal spot, I think, to these little paintings. And I did it, as I was saying, I wanted to kind of cover up those little patterns that I was making, the little strokes, because they were a little too in your face and I wanted to push them back a bit. So what I did was I used the fluorescent paint and covered up little areas of those strokes and helped them kind of go into the background a bit easier, or a bit more. And yeah, I totally recommend fluorescents. They're so much fun. So let's see, what else am I doing? Am I almost done here with the fluorescents? Yes, I am. So now I'm done with the paintings. I'm taking off the tape, hoping that the lines are crisp and I didn't have any paint bleed under the tape. But as you'll notice, I did use the spray paints outside of the grids. I wasn't really thinking when I was spraying. And then when I was doing my mark making lines with the Caran d'Ache pencil, it went across the middle. But yeah, here's some close-ups so that you can really see the detail. And yeah, this is the end of the video. I just want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like if you enjoyed the video. A subscribe is awesome because you will get my content in your inbox on YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace!